getting into a band at that point, it was like all your Christmas come at once. Yeah. We had a box full of our CDs.
Wow.
And we were like, oh, just throw them out the crowd. 2 or 3 days later, we went down to the site where we'd actually played. There was still our CDs scattered everywhere. We were like, oh, shit. Yeah, the covers side of everything is great. But I want people to go see live original music. I just don't think people appreciate an underground kind of band. Oh, well, I can listen to them on Spotify. Why do I want to go see them live? I put a lot of money up front. On a night, you don't know if you're going to make a profit, a loss, break even. I think some of them just get lazy. I'm being serious. I think some of them just think, oh, well, the band will sell it. Everything was going wrong, and the band come up to me and they're like, in my face, and I went, do you want a shorter set then? And the guy again looked at me and he went, no. Well, there you go then, shut up. 20 years ago, she was a cracking looking woman.
Yeah.
Now she looks like a mess.
One more song, 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 one more song.
Hello, welcome to the One More Songcast. We're here to talk about our new sponsor, which of course is Macintosh Inc. Promotions. They've got a gig coming up on Saturday the 16th of December. It's at Dirty Blondes in Blackpool, which is a great local venue for music. Me and Lee have both played there and I always had a good experience there.
Yep, so they've got 3 bands on in the night. It's being headlined by Portrayal of Ruin, who are a 5-piece deathcore band from Manchester. They're then followed by Incarnage, who are a South Cumbrian band, and they play some melodic metal. And then you've got Divinitis, who are another Manchester metal band, and they play instrumental metalcore music.
So go and get your tickets below in the description. And also, if you go and check out Macintosh Inc. Promotions on Facebook and Instagram, you'll be able to find some sort of ticket link there, I'd imagine, and some promotion leading up to the event.
Yeah, go and give the band some love as well. Go and listen to them on Spotify or all other good streaming platforms. And we're going to get back to your episode.
Hello, welcome to the One More Songcast. My name's Luke.
And I'm Lee.
Is this our 4th episode in season 2 now? I think it is.
I think it is.
But we should probably know, shouldn't we? But we've not even released our first season 2 episode yet, so that's all to come. We've got Gary Mcintosh with us today. Gary's a gig promoter, an original gig promoter in mainly the Blackpool area. And we're going to get a bit of an insight into what life is like for a promoter in the Lancashire area this week. So welcome to the podcast, Gary. How are we doing, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Good stuff. So, Gary, where are you originally from then?
I'm originally from Middlesbrough.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
What brought you down to Blackpool then?
A woman.
Or Lancashire? A woman?
Yeah.
It's always the way.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very much. We've known each other all our lives, so we kind of got together 3-4 years ago, and just everything's gone from there.
Okay,
so
fair enough. Right, we always start the podcast. I don't know if you've watched anything or Lee's given you a bit of a heads up. We always start with a very general question. What does music mean to you?
It means everything to me.
Okay.
I can't go through a day without music.
Okay, fair enough.
So literally as soon as I'm walking to work on a morning or like anytime, headphones are on, music's always like my life really in a way.
Wicked, yeah. I think that's the general consensus with people in this business, isn't it?
Most people will generally answer with everything.
Yeah.
But you do get varied answers on that.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
Does it affect your mood when you don't listen to music and stuff like that?
Yeah, it does actually, yeah. It's like if I don't, actually, if like say you're on your way to work and your headphones run out of battery or something like that, it's like, oh, for God's sake, I was really enjoying that song kind of thing. But then that's the thing though, innit? You've just got to kind of take the rough with the smooth.
Absolutely, mate. So growing up then in Middlesbrough, what was that like generally before we go into the music side of things?
It was relatively okay. We had a good childhood and stuff like that. Very musically in my family, like, well, not like as in instrument wise, but my mum and dad like listen to loads of different kinds of music and everything, so I kind of got like a collective taste of music.
And what were they into then, really?
My mum was like rock and roll, 60s, 70s. My dad was like Irish folk, kind of stuff like that, so I kind of get like an acoustic side of everything. So it's a bit of a collective thing for me.
Bit of a mix there, a bit of a mixed bag. And were they obviously playing that round the house and everything like that in the car and everything? Yeah, wicked.
So was that all CDs, radio, or how did you
radio, tape, CD?
Tapes, tapes. Classic. From my era, I think, you must have had tapes in the house.
Not so much. I mean, I remember my dad's van having a tape player in it.
Yeah, like most tape,
Yeah.
there were tapes in vans and cars
In
for like
vans,
until
yeah, exactly.
the early 2000s.
Yeah, early noughties. And if you had a
Yeah.
CD player in your car, you had a fancy car at that
Yeah,
time.
you
didn't
did. Yeah.
And now they don't even have CD players in the
No,
cars.
now it's all
do they?
Bluetooth,
mad,
isn't it?
yeah,
So-
yeah. So you can't even like put a CD together of your original tunes and sell
Yeah.
that at gigs now, really, can you? I mean,
No.
it's not really.
No, at first, I think when I was like 17, you used to take CDs round to pubs and
Yeah, you
hope
did,
they'd play them. But yeah, you don't get any of that these days. The collectible element almost gone out the window, apart from the resurgence of vinyls, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's like a new thing coming in, really, isn't it? Like, so I've noticed in the last like maybe a year or two that bands have started bringing vinyls out and stuff like that, and it's been like a great collection thing because you think if them bands go further into their career,
Yeah.
you've got that like, I've got their first album on vinyl.
And well, also I've seen the Sherlocks are bringing back a cassette tape as well
Yeah,
and stuff.
so-
So like that's coming back in again. So I'm actually looking forward to that, and I may even have to pick myself up
I'm going to say, have you got something
Tape
to
deck
play it on?
somewhere.
I might have to pick myself up a tape player and just roll back the years.
Yeah. Put the big headphones back on as well.
Proper old school Sony.
What I
Walkman.
was most used to was those like portable CD players,
Yes.
and you
Yeah,
stick your
man.
headphones in them. They were
Right,
weird.
it was other Sony Walkman.
And then if you touched it ever so slightly,
Yeah,
it just
the-
made
the
whole thing
anti-shock, yeah.
skip. Yeah.
everything skips, and you're like, got the scratches on your CDs. You're checking every CD like that.
So obviously you've told us a bit about your parents' influences. What were you then listening to growing up and into your teenage years? What were you into?
Like stuff like Iron Maiden,
Okay.
Metallica, Pantera, Marilyn Manson. So
Yeah.
kind of like started like there. Ozzy Osbourne, Black
Okay.
Sabbath.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
all like the really classic rock stuff.
Right. I
So, how did you discover that? Because like I got when I started to develop my taste, it was all off music channels. Was it? Did you have Sky in the house or anything
No, we
like
didn't
that?
have Sky in the house. It's like Friends mainly. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like they had Sky and everything. So you go out in the house and like, have you seen this band? It's like, who is it? It's like, it's so and so and so. Oh, I like these actually. These are quite good. So then you were going back to what we're saying about CDs and vinyls and tapes and that. You'd go to like your local music shop like HMV and stuff like that back in the time, and just buy like the CD that. Even if it was just like their one song was that you liked, you buy the full album just for that one song.
That's
Yeah.
it, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah, I do remember those days.
It's a great way to then really understand what you're listening to with some of the B-sides and stuff as well. You know, you don't get that opportunity anymore, do you?
No,
really?
I think because it's all there. It's just you don't get that opportunity to just take a chance on a band. The only way you get it now is like playlists, or you've still got radio, but it's not the same. They generally play the same stuff over and over again.
There's some things that have already like been played about 5 times in the day and all that kind of stuff, which it kind of gets a bit boring.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? You listen to the same song like 5 times. If you listen to the radio station all day, and you hear that song 5 times, you think, for God's sake,
The
it's too...
playlist just goes round in
Yeah.
a circle, doesn't it?
Especially like Capital FM and all that, where it's all just
mate.
the crap chart stuff, and it's like you say, it's like every other song's the same song, like, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to say Heart's the worst for that, but then they're all as bad as each other because they're all kind of owned by it's like a group of companies within one, isn't it?
Yeah. So, how did it then? So, did you then go into being a musician?
Started playing guitar at like 12.
Okay.
Kind of bought a cheap guitar off a friend of mine. I was like, you know what, I want to be a guitarist, so I thought, give it a go.
Yeah.
And I excelled it for like 6 months, and I was like, can I really be bothered doing this anymore? Because so I put it to one side for another 3 months, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to pick this back up again. And I started playing like every day, got music lessons and stuff. And then my teacher moved to Canada,
Right.
so it was like, so I've paid all this money for lessons, and now he's leaving. But like round in the Teesside area at that point, there was hardly any teachers. So it was like school weren't doing. We got our GCSE music thing took off us. I don't know why, but that was another thing. So we had no music program in our school at all. So it was a bit weird. So in the end, I just started learning myself. You know what I mean? It's like picking things up by ear and stuff like that, like odd little things. And then at 16, I joined my first band at 16.
Okay.
So
And was that a school band then?
it was just it was like my mum's friend's like son was like forming a band. They've been together for about 3 or 4 months, and they needed another guitarist. So it's like, oh well, my son might be interested.
Right.
So I went to the audition, and I was like, I'm not going to get this. I was like, I just had like a feeling I wasn't going to get it, and they were like, do you want the job? Yeah. I was like, of course I want the job. I was like, I'm not going to say no to getting into a band at that point. It was like kind of like all your Christmas come at once when you get into a band.
Definitely, mate. And were you the lead guitarist then?
Rhythm guitarist.
Rhythm guitarist. Yeah. Okay, so no singing or
I did a bit of backing vocals. Yeah.
Wicked. So, did it go well at the start? Was it? Obviously, when some people when they first gig, it's a nightmare, for whatever reason.
It took us about 6 months to get ourselves off the ground, kind of thing, to get like songs written and everything sorted. But then when we had everything done, we recorded our first demo in our guitarist's flat,
right?
So it was like very DIY kind of thing. So what we did is we had like the front room all set up, and then we like kind of like cushioned part of the thing off so we could record the drums.
Okay, yeah.
So it was very like a dampened kind of room. Yeah. It was very weird, but it was very well put together.
Was it? Yeah.
And then we had a major gig, which was, I don't know if you've ever heard of Middleditch Music Live. It used to be like a big like kind of like all day kind of thing. It was about 10, 12 stages. And we had a box full of our CDs.
Wow.
And we were like, just throw them out the crowd. It didn't cost us anything to make, so we were like, just give it away for free, it doesn't matter. But then 2 or 3 days later, we went down to the site where we'd actually played. There was still our CDs scattered everywhere. And we were like, oh, shit.
Yeah, so, everyone was like listening to it, going, oh, yeah, these are good. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So you seem, even from 16 years old, that you were very much about writing your own music and original music. How was that sort of ingrained in you from an early age that that's what you wanted to do rather than playing the covers?
Like covers is a great way to like broaden your horizons kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the only way you're going to kind of get noticed anywhere is write your own original songs. And this is like kind of, friends have always said, you need to write your own original songs. If you want to get anywhere in life, that's the best way to be.
And who were you looking at that age and thinking, they're writing songs, that's what I want to do?
Like looking at people like, especially at the time, like Newton Faulkner and people like that. I've actually met Newton Faulkner. He's actually a really nice guy.
Yeah.
But then we gigged with like people like Ennett Shakiri and stuff like that. So it was like we've had a big kind of thing. But we were looking up to them and we're like, wow, well these guys have like done it for like 5-10 years, 5-7 years before us. So we need to kind of step our game up and keep going at that. Yeah. That's what we need to do. So if we want to be as good as them, we need to keep going.
And how did that pan out, that band then? Did you join any other bands? Did the band go for a while?
It went for about nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
And we went like around the UK quite a lot, kind of thing. There's like other bands that we knew. We were like, we've got a gig in, say, Reading. Yeah. We need a support band. Do you want to come and do it? Well, yeah. If we're gonna get paid a bit of diesel money, we don't mind. So we used to just like literally rock up to gigs. No one even knew who we were. They'd know them because they were from that area. So we were like, So that's how we kind of got our fan base in a way.
Yeah.
So was it through like MySpace, Facebook, and all that sort of thing that you were getting?
The thing that back then, yeah.
Yeah, because you obviously used to put your demos on your MySpace.
Yeah, you did.
page.
Yeah. I think we got in the first day we put our demo out on MySpace, we had like 1,000 hits in no time. But we're not sure if people were just like hitting the refresh button loads just to kind of get you plays up, which it wouldn't actually surprise me.
Yeah. So what was the genre of music then? Was it very much what you were influenced by with your sort of rocky tunes?
No, it was very metalcore kind of.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
It was weird how I kind of got to the audition. They had kind of something they wanted me to play, and I can't remember what I played now because it's been that long ago. And then they were like, can you play this? So they wrote something. I was like, I'll blast through with that.
Yeah.
And then the vocalist kind of started screaming, and I'm like, okay, I'm a bit scared of you, but okay, let's go for it.
Yeah.
But after that, me and the vocalist Phil just got on like a house on fire. He was as scary as a pussycat, but he looking at him, he was massive,
screaming.
So yeah.
And obviously the face changes when they scream as well. You get that demonic look in people's eyes when they start screaming. It's quite scary looking at them, to be fair.
Some people, you look at them and you think they're talking to you normally, and you're like, they're absolutely thing. Then you hear that scream, and you're like, okay, I maybe don't want to get on the wrong side of these guys.
It's crazy, isn't it? The vocal technique that must have to go into it to get it right. I don't know if everybody gets it right, maybe.
I think there are tutorials online that you can do to get it, because it was outward screaming as well, not inward. Yeah, there's an inward screaming one. You have to do a pig squeal. It's really weird.
Yeah.
but it's all about the like shape of like how we have it, where it's like the shape of the vowel. Yeah, you've got to shape it right to get the squeal right and all sorts.
And it's just really hard to do. Like Phil tried to teach me how to scream, and I'm like, nah. I was like, I'm not going to be able to do that.
I think you've got to get used to the fact that you're probably going to rupture a couple of vocal cords.
Yeah, that's what
when you're learning.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
But so when you said you were touring with Enter Shikari, obviously they didn't really get big till sort of, I'm going to say 2007, 2008. So what sort of time was this?
This was about the before they were kind of really big. We played 2 gigs with them. We played one in Chesterfield, which was like a festival kind of thing. And then we got the support slot in Middlesbrough for them, which was really weird how like the guy that was the promoter at the time was a good friend of ours. And he was like, I've had to pull out for the Enter Shikari gig. Do you want it? Yeah. I was like, of course I'm going to say yes to that. Even though I didn't even ask the guys at this point. I was like, they will say yes no matter what. It was like, you're going to get a chance to support a big band like that.
Yeah.
You're going to like take the opportunity straight away.
So, like, obviously that one came through a friend. Was there anywhere it didn't come through a friend, and how did you get it?
God. I know most of our gigs came through friends, really. We had a couple of like guys that would like, who were like booking agents for other bands and say, oh yeah, we've got a gig with like a band that was like in their area, and then we'd go, oh yeah, we'll check them out and see how it's going to go, and then we'd go support them kind of thing. But then we'd like, if they'd come here and we were playing like a gig, they'd go, oh yeah, we'll come and support you kind of thing. So it was kind of like a swings and roundabout kind of thing.
So that again, was that just bands you'd met on MySpace and booking agents that you'd met on MySpace and everything, and you were just chatting to them? So that's not changed a lot then, really, considering it's all Facebook, Instagram.
It's still digital, isn't it? So and more social media kind of thing.
So how did you find? Obviously, on that in those days, it wasn't really Facebook marketing or anything like that.
No.
So how did you manage to get? What processes were you taking to sort of get your music out there?
Just trying to play as many gigs as we could, really, kind of thing. We just try to like jump on any gig we could get on. Like friends of ours was like, oh, like saying back before was like, but friends would say, oh, we've got a gig available, do you want it, kind of thing. So it was kind of getting our name out there. And like one would be like, oh, we're playing say one bar on a Thursday, then one on a Saturday, like, oh, come and see us, kind of thing. And that's how we got our word out there, was like word of mouth kind of thing.
Did you get any shocks where you'd say go to somewhere like Reading and then people are singing the songs back to you, and you just like,
I've had a few like that, and it was just like weird how we had people like knowing our lyrics and stuff like that, and I'm like, how do these guys know like who we are? And it's like, well, they've probably been following us on MySpace for like the last 7 or 8 months. Now we're actually here, they want to see us. So it was like, okay, well, I think we at times we got one guy, I think it was a gig in Leeds, and we actually got the guy up on stage to actually sing with us.
Right.
It was actually quite weird actually having 2 vocalists, similar kind of style, singing our lyrics.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's weird how that excitement doesn't translate about that, because at the time you're enjoying it, but you're still in the back of your head going, yeah, how the fuck do these people know our songs?
Yeah,
like, it's more that feeling takes over, because initially it's like, oh, wicked, they're singing their songs, but then how the fuck do they know that? Like, what, you're scratching your head more than you are excited about it. It's so weird how that takes over.
The weird thing about that gig as well that night was our guitarist actually nutted a guy in the crowd because Johnny was like he didn't like people being in his face, and this guy was like just literally like getting closer and closer to Johnny's face, and he just turned around and went boom and just nutted him. I was like, oh no.
Imagine with that style of music, that's kind of what it's all about, isn't it? People being in your face and that, with mosh pits and all that shit.
To an extent, but still, I think there is that personal boundary, and it's like we've spoken about protection for musicians at gigs. It's not always there.
No.
At the same time, you don't want barriers in front of the stage, because it does feel like it's you and them.
Yeah, and you're getting like a restriction kind of thing in there. Especially like say like when you go see like a big band like in like an arena, you have that barrier between the stage and thing. Yes, you've got security there, but you aren't getting like the feel for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I've played places where it's like open dance floor kind of places, so people can actually come like right up to you, which is understandable. But then you get that feel for like people want to know who you are and like see that you're playing your instruments properly and not using pre-recorded things like which is going around to the media at the moment.
Have you ever seen that video of that like busker that's playing and he's doing this like really like complex guitar solo, and this guy's looking at him and he's going, "You're not playing that live," and he's like, "I am, mate, honestly I am," and he's like, "You're not," and he's getting right in his face, and then he has to like proper show him that he's playing it live, and he's like still not convinced, and he's like, "What more do you want me to look, I'm doing it." And it's just like people like really are interested in that, aren't they, as well? But it does come at a cost as well sometimes, because like sometimes, especially in bars and stuff, like the bar owners are not going to help you in situations where it can just spill overboard.
No.
You know, but I suppose that's part of it sometimes, you know.
Yeah, I think sometimes like, yeah, we've done a wedding gig at the weekend, and like we had the bride and groom come on stage singing with us, which is like, that's absolutely fine. If like the lead singer's happy to get them on stage and do that, that's absolutely fine. But it's just when people just feel that they've got a divine right to get on and use your gear.
Yeah.
We did a gig back in March. It was hardly anybody there, but it was like there was 2 touring kind of bands. They've done like a 9-day tour, and then like the Blackpool gig was the final gig, like final night, and everybody on the final night, just literally every band and every person in the room just piled on the stage at the Talbot, and I'm like, shit, what are we gonna do? Like, oh shit. So my sound tech's like, is all our gear safe on there? And I'm like,
Probably not.
yes, but if anything does start to fall, I am going to literally run and grab it. And he's like, okay, even though it's not my sound tech's gear, it's my gear.
Yeah.
But it's still like, you think you've got a microphone there, it could be like 80, 90 quid, you know what I mean? You break that, there's 90
So
quid.
it's all your gear that you supply at these gigs, is it?
Near enough, yeah.
Oh God. If some like the Who style band just comes on and just starts swatting your gear.
Like blows up the drum kit like halfway
yeah,
through.
like Keith Moon did, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm guessing the you performing came to some sort of end, did it, for you then to become a promoter?
Yeah.
So what happened there then?
We kind of fizzled out as a band kind of thing. We wanted to change style, but no one could agree on what style we wanted to go down. One of them wanted to go more like kind of post-hardcore kind of thing. Some of them wanted to go more deathcore, and it was like, right, we can't kind of come to some compromise and kind of be in the middle. And I decided at that point it was my time to walk away.
So was it a difficult decision then? Because of all the memories you'd have had, you've supported big bands. At that point, when you're starting to come to an end of something, you kind of know it's coming to an end. Was there still that element of holding on for a little bit of time?
We tried, kept rehearsing and everything like that with the set that we already had, and then it just kind of, everyone kind of divided, so that it was like, oh, well, I don't want to do this anymore, I don't want to do that anymore. It's like, well, what do we do? You know what I mean? We had to cancel about 3 or 4 gigs because of that divide, and it was like, so I was like one of the first people to leave, but Johnny left before that and came back, and then we were trying to find another guitarist, and it just wasn't working out. And I was like, well, is it time that we hang our boots up and say, right, we've tried, call it a day? And then all of a sudden Johnny was like, I'll come back. So he came back for like, I think we did about 5 gigs after that, and then we just, one night we just all sat together having a chat, and I went, I think it's time we called it a day. And everyone was like, yeah, I think it's kind of ran its course.
Like, did that feeling of sort of deflation come out of you, or was it sort of relief?
It was a bit of relief, because like everyone just kind of went, yeah, maybe we need to go do other things, and maybe in a couple of years' time, come back together and do this again. Which is, I was saying to Luke earlier about, we had like a chance to have a reunion, and we kind of got together and rehearsed once, and then everything just it gelled back together again, but then it also divided again, and I was like, I can't do this. You know what I mean? I can't be in a band again if we're going to divide again.
So what was the gap then between you finishing with this band to then becoming a promoter? Were you a promoter in Middlesbrough for a while as well?
Yeah.
So you started your promotion in Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
We're going to talk mainly about your promotion in the next part, but what did you take from your experience of original gigging the good memories and the sort of motivations as to why you wanted to write original music. What did you take from that into your promotion? What was your sort of your standpoint then going in?
I just wanted to kind of help bands out in the area, because I could see a lot of bands that were kind of doing gigs and they're like, oh, we're struggling to get gigs here. And I'm like, right, put you on at my place and then you can kind of go from there. I'll put you in touch with a couple of people, which I did anyway. And then they got like gigs like out the areas and stuff like that, and like in Newcastle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I was always trying to help out. You know what I mean? Any other promoter was like in the area, they were like, oh, do you know a band that'd fit this bill? I'm like, yeah, I would actually. These guys will fit.
So you were already doing the work before you was a promoter kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. You had that experience.
And was that sort of like then you thought, do you know what? I'm putting everyone in touch with these promoters and I'm getting almost nothing back.
Yeah.
Why not I do this myself?
Yeah.
Is that the sort of like general idea you've gone for?
That's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to help people, you know what I mean? And the music scene in Teesside at that point was starting to decline again. So I thought, well, we need to kind of bring something into the area to try and bring Teesside back to how it used to be. And we did that for 4 years that we were there. You know what I mean? But then things started getting more expensive. Bars started doing different deals around where we were. So then it kind of declined our clientele. And then we just, in the end, it was like a nosedive in a way for us. And I decided to step away. Like that was in 2014, I stepped away and just decided I didn't want to be there anymore because I didn't see the point. Because it was literally, I was going in on a weekly basis. I did 48 gigs a year. I was doing it one every week, and I had like a bit of time off. But then it just kind of like our clientele kept like dropping and dropping and dropping. We were putting great bands on, and people just weren't interested. They were going elsewhere for drinks, then coming back to ours for the bands. So the bar was getting no take-ins at all.
I see, yeah. Do you think, so obviously you started your promotion in about 2010, is that right? Do you think we were talking to a former guest that was on he was gigging predominantly in the 90s and said that original music was booming at that point. Everyone wanted to see original music. Yeah. That's what they were going out to see on a Friday, Saturday night. Have you noticed between, say, 2010 and now, was there more of an interest in original music back then, or is it growing now?
It's starting to grow again now.
Yeah.
This is what we're trying to do now. Yeah. It's like as a promoter trying to bring the raw original music like forward kind of thing. So people will go, oh, they played at say one place one night, or they're playing there next week. Right, we'll go see them again. Like I used to years ago. Like mates bands used to always be playing like different places. Right, okay, well they're on it on Saturday there, they're on next Saturday there, they're on Sunday there. Right, take a weekend off work, we'll go and see them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like I don't think everyone really does that anymore. I think unless it's a covers band.
Why do you think that is as a promoter?
As a promoter, I think it's because people know the songs.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is.
I think you've got that element where if people aren't willing to take a chance on a band live because they can just get the music for nothing on Spotify, or they're already paying for a Spotify subscription, and they'll also see the ticket price.
Yeah, this is what...
And that's another thing that puts them off, where they can go and see a band play a load of songs that they know for nothing in a pub.
Yeah, and pay £5 a pint.
Yeah.
Instead of paying £5 to see a ticket to see an originals band.
Yeah, someone that's like sat there, worked the back off. And, you know, don't get me wrong, I do the covers as well.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of people in that industry that work hard. But, you know...
Writing your own songs is not as easy as people think it is.
No chance.
No.
Yeah.
It isn't just sitting there with an acoustic guitar. If you're in a band, you've got to pick parts for 4 people, or at least, even 3. Even if you're a duo, you know, there's still parts you've got to pick to make that song progress and complete it. So
I'd argue there's plenty of capable songwriters that just go, do you know what, it's not worth it. I'm making all these money at weddings and whatever else. I'm just not going to bother in that sense.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
I get that.
So yeah, that is a tricky part. Right, we're going to put a break just for now, and then we're going to really delve into your promotional side of things. We're just slightly running out of time on the camera, so we'll see you shortly in a minute.
Right.
Hope you've enjoyed it so far.
Thank you.
See you in a minute. Cheers.
Bye.
Hello, people. Sorry to interrupt your episode. Lee, why the ruddy hell have you got a Christmas hat on? It's October, for God's sake.
Oh, golly God, Luke, we've got something so exciting to tell you all about our Christmas special.
Go on, Lee, tell us more.
So, what we're going to do is we're going to have guests on, Or at maybe one guest. It just depends on who's available at such a busy time of
Who
year.
can be asked?
Yeah, maybe who can be asked. But it'll include me and Luke having a beer on camera, which will be interesting, won't it,
We're
Luke?
going to play some musical Christmassy games.
Maybe try some eggnog. We haven't decided that, but I've just chucked it in there anyway. But it'll be all exciting for you. It's coming up to the festive season. Help you get into that festive spirit.
Yeah, we're going to put the date of the Christmas special just across here for you, as it's not yet been decided, but it will be by the time this advert goes out. And yeah, we hope you can join us for the Christmas special. It's going to be full of laughs, games, and musical trivia, all in the build-up to Christmas. So yeah, tune in, and we're looking forward to seeing you. Even though we won't be seeing you.
No,
You'll be
we won't
seeing
be.
us. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to part 2. We're with Gary Mcintosh, original gig promoter. And we're going to start to delve into your original gig promotion side of your life. So you seem fairly young. So I was saying to you off camera before that I was expecting like an older person. I don't know why, but it seems like you've come into promotion quite early.
Yeah.
So what was it that then inspired you to go from bands and then go into the promotional side of things?
Like I said, just helping bands really. Like bands are out there, we're crying out for gigs. We need someone to kind of give us a chance. So I was like, yeah, I'll give you a chance. If you're gonna pack my place, then yeah, it's good. So be it. Which is what I want people to do. I want people to go see live original music. So that, yeah, the covers side of everything is great, but originals is like kind of like where it's gonna go, kind of thing. You think in like 10 years time you could be seeing a band that's here now, and in 10 years time they could be playing massive world tours and stuff like that, so you can be like, well, yeah, I supported them when they first kind of came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is weird. I recently went to see Jamie Webster and the support band. I gigged with them like in 2018.
Right.
So it was like, you little fuckers. Like, they were opening up for Jamie Webster, who I'm absolutely, like, probably a fanboy of.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, you were shit 4 years ago. But
Things
they're
changed,
really
don't they?
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've actually really progressed.
This is the thing I give, like, bands will say to me, oh, how did we sound? And I'm like, well, if you want me to be truly honest with you, there's a few little things that might need tweaking. But the thing is, people want that criticism.
Yeah.
Because if they don't get it, they just think, oh, yeah, we're fine, we're great. But if they don't get that criticism, they're like, oh, well, what do we do?
Yeah.
Is there any chance of us perfecting anything? Do we need to downplay something? It's just the way thing.
I mean, you're quite good at delivering that sort of constructive criticism.
I just like normally say, oh yeah, you need to be a bit more tighter on a couple of songs, you need to do this, you need to do that, you maybe need to add this in, add that in. It might just make your songs a bit better. And it's like, well, okay then, some people say to me they'd rather me be honest with them than lie to them.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes you come off after a gig and you feel like it's not gone the best, but everyone's saying how great it is, and you're thinking, yeah, but something went right. And like you say, you do sometimes need that person to just tell you, well, if you just touch on, even if it's just small things, you know, it does help. It does make the world a difference. So, like we said before, you started off your first promotional company in Middlesbrough, in Teesside. So what was the challenge? Maybe not the challenges, but was there a lot to actually put together to then monetize it? So going from just saying, oh yeah, you can play at that venue, you go to that venue, actually making it a sort of business. Was that difficult at the start?
It was difficult at the time because it was something I'd never done. Yeah. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to give it a pop, see what it's like. I thought, well, if it lasts a year, it's a year of my life that I will look back at and go, well, yeah, I did okay at that. But then as my year kind of progressed, the first year I did it, things started getting better and better and better, and I was like, well, there's no going back now. Yeah. Kind of thing. It's like so many not big bands, but like big-ish kind of upcoming bands were always like, oh yeah, we've seen videos on YouTube and on Facebook of what the venue's like on your night. And I was like, right, okay, what are we going, what's the end game here? Yeah. Oh, we'd like to come play a gig for you. Right. So then I'd sit down, well, not sit down with them, but like talk with them and say, right, what is your fee? And they go, oh, well, we normally want it like £50 for thing. Right, okay, well, I'll give you the £50, but that's all I can pay, really. Because like we were getting paid by the venue for putting the night on. But the money that I was getting for that was paying for the bands as well. So I was literally not making hardly any money out of it. But it was the love of music I was doing it for.
So was it just one venue that you started in? So was it just one venue that you were booking artists for, or was it a few venues that you started with?
I started in a shop in Middlesbrough. I was used to work in the shop as well.
Right, okay.
It was a music shop.
Yeah.
But Tony wanted to bring trading into the place. So he was like, well, maybe putting a band on a Saturday or a Sunday might actually boost our trade a bit.
So you'd have that in the music shop?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So we had like a PA system in there that could use amps that were actually in the shop, guitars that were in the shop as well. So it was like, kind of thing, it was like a try before you buy kind of thing. And then sometimes people were like watching people play them guitars and then going, oh yeah, we want that guitar. Right. So it's like, great. So it's like kind of a selling point for us, yeah.
So how does it actually work from the start of, like, you know, you've got to get into a venue obviously before you start promoting anything.
Yeah.
How does it actually work? Do you have to have the bands first to then take to the venue, or did you just get in touch with the venue saying, listen, I've got a lot of contacts, I want to put gigs on, can I use your venue?
Yeah, that's what it was.
And then how does it work from there in terms of getting everything sorted? So you've not just got the bands to think about, you've got to get equipment there, and the band's bringing their own, you've got to get a sound engineer who's providing the PA. What happens?
So normally what my structure is with my company is we try to go to a venue that already has a PA, in-house PA, because it just makes things 10 times easier instead of bringing loads of gear kind of thing. I know covers bands normally bring their own because it's normally easier for them because they normally do their own sound. But like normally bands like that, like who are doing original stuff, don't actually have a PA system. They just think they'd rather just turn up to a venue, bring their amps and stuff like that and stuff. But with mine, it's like I provide cabs, drum kit, PA. Like, we're not a PA, but like for the bands, it's a PA and the mics and everything. So we provide them for everything. We try and get bands to travel light. That's what we try and do.
And what's the reason for getting them to travel light, do you think?
Just because it means they don't have to have 3 or 4 cars or anything like that. They can come in like 2 cars and stuff like that. It's like the price of bloody petrol and diesel is going through the roof and stuff like that. And I think a lot of bands putting money on their gigs, like when they're getting charging because of the cost of fuel.
So were you having to, at the start, I mean, I imagine you already had most of this stuff from your gigging days, but were you having to put a big outlay into getting the right mixer, the right PA system, the right amps and stuff, or did you already have that stuff
I had a few things anyway.
Yeah.
So things like back from when I was promoting back years ago, a friend of mine had it in his garage.
Right.
And then when I started promoting again, Chris phoned me and he was like, oh, do you want your gear? I was like, I forgot all about that, actually. Yeah, I will, actually. So there was 2 or 3 microphones, there was a bloody box full of leads and bits and bobs, and I'm like, I forgot I even had this stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But it all still worked.
Yeah.
And I was just quite weird how the fact it'd been sat in a garage for for nearly 7 years for it to still work.
So was it all just guitar microphones as well, so for the speakers and everything?
No, it was just vocal mics.
All vocal mics.
Yeah.
So when you're putting a gig on, what is the process from there? You've got the date agreed, you've got everything. The marketing process must be horrendous.
It is.
So what is it you're using? What tools are you using? Obviously, you're going to post on social media and everything. But
so we normally use Canva to create a poster kind of thing. So then get that out, get it on social media. Normally get them printed, put them in shops and takeaways and that. Just trying to get people to come, you know what I mean? It's just what you need these days.
Yeah, definitely. So are you a travelling show in the sense that you'll approach a venue and you'll be like, so obviously you started off in the music shop, but then when you go into other venues, do you approach the venue and say, obviously introduce who you are, you're going to bring these bands, you've got your own equipment, is that how it works? So you approach a venue and then you sort of work out the costings of everything with that venue, is that sort of how it works?
Normally,
yeah. So how did it go from... So you've had 2 promotional companies, haven't you? You've had the one in Teesside, and then I'm guessing you then moved to Blackpool and pretty much had to start again, did you?
Yeah.
So talk us through that then. So I'm guessing you know nobody in the Blackpool area particularly.
I didn't know many people.
So did it take you a while to get up and running then?
Yeah.
With the promotional side, yeah.
So the initial start of the company was done in the March last year. So it was literally really fresh. Started everything, kind of came up with a name, and then it was trying to find a venue that would actually want to do things like after COVID, it was so hard for like places like the Bellevue and Dirty Blondes and stuff like that in Blackpool have had it hard because they've just had covers bands and stuff like that all the time because like that's been their trade.
Yeah.
See, now places like now want some like original side of everything, like a lot of like our new venues, which I'm not allowed to announce yet. But yeah, a lot of our new venues are wanting to go down that originals route.
Yeah. Have you ever been in Dirty Blondes before?
We played there.
Yeah, I've been there.
It's
I didn't suit the venue at all though at the time.
I think it's
It was like solo acoustic act, and it weren't really the vibe, really.
It's a strange venue that, but the stage area, the food in there is unbelievable. By the way,
It is. It's brilliant.
it was a really cool vibe. I think we just had a bad experience. There was a fallout in the band at that point, and I think we were all knackered because at the time I was working full time. Everyone else had like, I think just a shoddy day at work, and it was literally just trying to find the parking for the venue. It was like down like
it's in the back alley,
the tightest alley ever. So then I think just everything just kind of went wrong. But in terms of the actual gig, the crowd were lively, and it just got spoilt because there was a private party upstairs.
Yeah.
So that kind of slightly killed it a little bit. But in terms of a venue, in terms of sound, the space on the stage, it was decent, to be fair.
No, it is a good venue, yeah. So what did you find then? So you moved to Blackpool. How did you then build up the contacts?
Just like people I'd known from like back home and stuff like that. I got quite well in with a guy called James Bennett. He does stuff in Manchester, the 0161 Underground.
Right.
So it's more like metal kind of things.
Yeah.
But James, like me and James become very good friends. And he's been to a few of our nights as well and stuff like that. And he said that how well we're doing it. He's like, but the only thing is, he said that I think in his eyes, he says that the venue's in the wrong part of town.
Dirty Blondes?
No, the Talbot.
Oh, sorry, right, yeah, okay.
The one we're at now. So
yeah.
apparently it's in the wrong part of town because it's on the outs, like on the out of town really.
Yeah, I see.
And people don't know where it is, even though we kind of put a map, like so where we kind of put from like the train station is like literally around the corner from it. But a lot of people don't seem to realise where it is.
No.
Right, okay.
So this is why we try and do everything we can to try and entice people to come. But then if they don't know where the venue is, then...
Yeah, so obviously the location is important. So the new venues you're trying to get, obviously, like you say, you can't name them at the moment. Are they more in the centre of Blackpool now to try and
One's a little bit out of Blackpool, but it's got very good foot traffic. And then one's in the town centre. So they'll be easy to find. You know what I mean? So one with foot traffic, it's got parking as well. So if you want to come down and see bands and stuff like that, there's parking there. Plenty of parking. There's a massive car park there.
Super.
So do you find at the start when you've moved to Blackpool, was there resistance from venues around Blackpool to original music, or was it quite seamless?
It was more like covers and cabaret and stuff like that.
That's what Blackpool sort of built on, isn't it? So how did you sell that to them, that this is what we want original music and this is what it's going to do for your venue? Well, how did you sell that?
All I really said was that there needs to be a new scene kind of thing. We need to revitalise what's here, like kind of thing. So we need to kind of keep the cabaret and the covers bands and everything. That is what Blackpool is, but you need to have something else that's going to kind of come in and go right, grab people's attention. I mean, holidaymakers can literally see, if we've got our posters out there, they can see, oh well, there's an original band. Oh well, have we seen them before? Kind of thing. Yeah. And it kind of entices people to come then.
I see. So I imagine, so whenever promoters are mentioned, you have had some gripes in the past with promoters, haven't you? It's not an easy sort of task by any stretch of the imagination, as far as I have sort of learned from talking with Lee and stuff. Do you feel like there's a stigma towards promoters, especially when you first start working with them? Maybe they don't trust you so much, maybe you don't trust them so much with what their reputation might be like. How do you sort of overcome that?
Just kind of build like a good relationship with them, try and like give them all the information that they want, kind of thing, and then you kind of ask them the same questions. So say, what do you want from us, kind of thing. So it kind of builds that bit of trust.
I get you.
Yeah, I remember our first conversation because I think Abby from the band, she was in an original pop punk band at the time, and that for whatever reason didn't materialise, and the band kind of let you down. So she's pointed she pointed me in your direction just
Yeah.
in case we could do the gig. I think you'd ended up finding someone before.
Yeah,
it,
we
but
had, yeah.
You were sort of like, right, so you were asking questions about the band before you'd even considered booking us. But
Yeah.
you're like, I haven't got a date yet, but just tell me a bit about your band. And it was sort of like the conversation started from there. In terms of my experience with promoters, it's mainly been in city centres that you have the issues.
Yeah.
Because, like, particularly from my experience, it's been in Liverpool when I was living in Runcorn. And it's like they expect you to sell 20 tickets before you've even taken a penny.
Yeah.
So then it's pay to play, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many promoters like that do you come across? And what do you think the main issues are in original music as to what gets promoters this reputation as well?
I think some of them just get lazy. I'm being serious, because I think some of them just think, oh, well, the bands will sell it. No, that doesn't not how it works. You need to sell it yourself. You can't just like expect everyone else to do your work for you. You can't just like, you don't go do a job at work and be like, oh yeah, you can do that. Say I'm not doing that. You need to sell it yourself. That's what you need to do.
So, sorry, you.
No, I was going to say, I imagine that's the should be the primary function of a promoter, shouldn't it?
It's in the name, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
This is what I'm
literally in the
saying.
name to promote the
It's
gig.
like a postman saying, I'm not going to deliver the letters. You know,
Yeah,
it's
this
kinda
is
like,
what I'm
you know.
saying. Yeah.
I mean, some of these places even give you 2 weeks' notice to play. Like we'd say, oh yeah, have you got any dates for this year? And they'll go, yeah, we've got one in February. And then like, it's like right at the end of January. And they put you on the slap bang in the middle of February, and they say, right, you need to sell 20 tickets. We'll get you this. And it's like, right, okay, well, we're going to struggle to sell that amount. Is there anything we can work out? They'll go, yeah, we'll sort it, and it never gets sorted.
Yeah. I've seen that happen.
And all they've done is put the post out on who's on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, hang on a minute, you've had this gig booked for months. Where is your job come in? And that's sometimes even venues.
Yeah,
I've
we
seen that
normally, what we'll do, so we'll post, so we'll do our event at the end of the month. Then as soon as the weekend's over with, we will start on our next gig and just go, right, this is what we've got next month, and this is what we've got the month after. But sometimes I'll put like a post out saying, right, this is the next 3 gigs. Kind of gives people a chance to say, oh yeah, we want to come and see that. So then you put the ticket links on as well, and then they'll go, oh yeah, we'll buy tickets in advance. And this is what another thing that annoys me is people keep saying, oh yeah, there's not enough, people are doing on the door a lot. No one does advance tickets. We've done advance tickets enough all the time since we've started up here. There was only 2 events that we didn't do advance tickets for, which was the last 2 acoustic nights. So we didn't think the point of doing advance tickets for that, and we only charged £3 to get into that. And like normally our prices are £5 like to get on the door, or £4 a ticket.
Yeah.
So you obviously do a lower price to sort of incentivize people to get in there before.
Yeah.
So have you found any experiences where it's on the other side and it's not the promoter's problem, it's the bands that are the problem? How have you tackled those issues really?
Normally it's like if bands haven't actually promoted it, and I'm like, well, you're meant to sell yourself. You know what I mean? This is the only way you're going to get anything out of anything. If you're going to sell yourself and go, oh, we're playing here, we're playing there, we're playing there, and it's what you need to kind of give them a kick up the arse at times.
Yeah, 100%. Have you had any issues where it's actually been the band at the gig and you've got egos to deal with in bands? How do you go about dealing with that?
I kind of told them that they would get a shorter set.
Right.
Actually, one night, it was just I was in one of them kind of moods, and everything was going wrong, and the band came up to me and they're like in my face, and I went, "Do you want a shorter set then?" And the guy again looked at me and he went, "No." I went, "Well, there you go then, shut up." And he just literally walked off at that point. I was just like, oh no. I was like, in a way, in my head, I was like, I needed to do that. But then on the other hand, I was like, that was a bit of a dickish move. But then I was like, it kind of made, like, they came to me at the end of the gig and he was like, I'm sorry for being a bit of a dick and all this kind of stuff. I was like, it's okay. I was like, I was a dick as well. So sorry, shake hands. Matter's been solved. But it's like, I don't like this egotistical kind of thing. Like the thing is, we're there to help each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm helping them by giving them a gig. They're helping me by promoting my company. So we need to kind of gel together and bring each other in, like kind of...
Yeah. the fascinating thing, because I'm not really in the original music world particularly. Well, I'm not at all. So I see it from a different perspective. So I was quite shocked at the start that like basically a lot of originals bands and stuff, you're not really making any money, as opposed to say a cover band or a cover artist can go out and make 200, 250 quite easily on a Friday night. Do you think there can ever be a world where original musicians can make the same as covers? And if not, why not?
It's a very hard situation.
Yeah.
I just don't think people appreciate like an underground kind of band. You know what I mean? When they're just getting out there, like people think, well, I can listen to them on Spotify or Apple Music or something like that.
Yeah.
For a subscription, why do I want to go see them live? But seeing them live kind of gives them that thing. So bands bring merch. So apparently every stream on Spotify is worth like 0.001 pence for every stream. But then you buy a t-shirt which is £10. That's their money that they've put into that project.
And that's going on the next single.
Yeah,
That's going on the travel to the next gig. That's getting spent on a tour.
Yeah, this is what we used to say. And it's just like, we need that money to keep going. You know what I mean? We can't, like, we used to sell our EPs, like when we had our EP out, like, it was like £3. But like, everyone looks at that now and thinks, oh, well, why bring merch? Well, you see the big bands all bringing merch. They're charging like 20, 30 pound a t-shirt.
Some of them are like 60, 70 quid a hoodie.
Yeah.
And you've already spent 60, 70 quid on the ticket.
Yeah. Well, I went to see Trivium last week. Their t-shirts were £25 in the venue. There was a guy outside selling fake ones for 10 quid. So what are you going to do?
You can't do much, can you? Yeah.
So you're going to buy a fake one. You don't really care. It's got the 2 dates on the back. It's a picture on the front. Done.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Certainly.
Yeah. I seen Steel Panther. That was the same. There was a guy outside selling hoodies for £20 and t-shirts for a tenner.
Yeah.
£35 for a t-shirt, £60 for a hoodie. You know what I mean? I know these people are probably mass producing these things like in a factory somewhere or stuff like that, but they're making a living out of fakeness. But it doesn't matter because people will pay it.
Yeah. 100%.
What I'm interested to know is, so say like, I don't know, let's just use Dirty Blondes or Bellevue for an example. Why is it that them venues cut? So say like if a cover band comes and plays, it's $3.50, whatever. I'm guessing, do they still pay the same amount, but then you've got to pay the promoter? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like a kind of a cost-effective thing.
Yeah.
Normally, what I've seen with other venues is like they normally give like venues like a budget. You know what I mean? So then they say, oh well, if a band's going to cost you, so say you've got 2 bands on, it's going to cost you 300 quid. So they'll give you a £500 budget. Then I think what should happen after that is the promoter should, if he has more than like him and a sound tech or just him himself, you should kind of split that money equally and go, right, well, we're a team, we need to kind of do it like that way, kind of thing. You've all put the work in, you know what I mean? I've got a team of people, we all put like a lot of time in, you know what I mean? Like Jay and Eddie take a lot of time out of their week to promote my events when I've got them coming up. They get promoted on like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and all that kind of thing. We always like resharing things. And I know it's like they say about like a Facebook algorithm, like if you post it too much, then Facebook blocks it. But in the day, then how is social media actually going to help our businesses? If they're going to block things, how is social media helping our?
Yeah, there's no clear like you say about shadow banning and stuff like that. But there's never any clear. If you post over this certain amount, it's always like you feel like you've been shadow banned almost, but you're never actually officially told, are you? Or you don't actually know what the limit is on the posts and stuff like that. So especially for like that line of promotion and stuff, it would be quite good to have more clarity on that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
But yeah, you're right. So have you ever or maybe had experience of? Because obviously you've got to choose the right band for the right venue. Have you ever had it where there's just been the completely wrong fit for and you're like, oh shit, like I shouldn't have done this, or I don't know, you've put a pop band in a heavy metal venue or something, you know? Yeah.
No, well,
or they falsely promoted themselves and said we're this when they're not really that, and it, you know.
I had one guy a couple of years, well, no, when I was back in Teesside, and when he was in a band, he was fucking brilliant, and I mean, like I had nothing like bad to say about him. And then he rang me and he was like, oh, Gary, can you put me on? Like, I'm doing solo acoustic stuff now. I was like, oh, well, he's good in a band. He'd be as good live as thing. No. So I had about 30 people in the venue. Thursday night, student night. By 5 songs into his set, the venue was cleared.
Oh no.
He was playing to 3 people.
And did he just have a completely different vibe on his own? It was just,
And I literally was stood at the sound desk and I was like, felt like I was going to rip my hair out. But back then I did have hair then. Well, longer hair. But yeah, I felt like I was going to rip my hair out because it just felt like I'd done totally the wrong thing. I had a word with the venue manager at the time and he went, maybe we don't book this guy again. And I was like, yeah, it's easier said than done in this business. You normally kind of keep friends.
Because if you don't book him as a solo, then that jeopardises the band that you just said you love as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tricky on your end, balancing all the plates almost. Yeah.
And then you have to word it carefully. If you say like, oh yeah, maybe we can look at an acoustic night, but at the moment we're just doing bands and stuff like that. It's
I kind of used the example of when we kind of did acoustic nights and I was like, oh, have you got any slots available? No, I've got none available, even though I'd have like 3 available. And I'm like, as much as the guy he was nice, he was polite, he was everything, the music side of him kind of got ruined because he didn't have that band as a backing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he just flopped.
Yeah, in a certain venue, that's not going to work, is it? Especially if it's not a particularly intimate venue or whatever else. So, gig. So we're almost done with the second part. We'll move into a third part as well about where you're going from here. But gig highlights then. So I see you'd mentioned to Lee that you love a band that sounds as good live.
Yes.
As good as they're recording live, I suppose, whichever way you want to put it. Talk to us a little bit about that then.
My advice always been to bands when they go, oh, well, how do we get a gig? And I was like, well, yeah, it's okay using videos from your gigs, but sometimes you think back a couple of years, back like 10 years ago, camera phones were shocking for quality for
They still
video.
are now, really. I mean, you know.
Some of them can be, yeah. So I was like, well, why don't you just go into a live recording studio, mic everything up, and record like just 2 tracks, put it out as a little
live
EP, yeah.
Live
and a lot of bands took that on board and were like, oh yeah, we'd love to do that. At the time, saying that, my friend had a live room that you could do recording in. Cal made so much money off that because I put them towards that way and said, Cal records live, so go see him.
So you get a bit of commission off that then, or?
Couple of beers.
There you go.
That's all you need, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing in original music. You'll just take beers sometimes as payment.
Yeah.
Just anything for a good night out after your half an hour set.
Yeah.
Like what we were saying in that, what would you say was the best night you've had as a promoter?
Oh, God. Probably say my favourite as a promoter. So saying the last company was there was a band called Lennox who were out in Middlesbrough. Absolutely great band, female fronted band, absolutely amazing. Very powerful, as in so they're like kind of like a pop punk kind of vibe, like poppy pop punk kind of thing. And just always used to bring their A game kind of thing. No matter where they were playing, they were just always on point and stuff like that. Very well put together live. Like the venue we used to run years ago had no monitors. So it was just like 2 speakers, like a vocal PA, and then the rest was just what they brought.
Backline.
Yeah. And it was like, they would come in and they'd go, can we just angle them speakers a bit towards us? Yeah, do what you want. I was like, but there was no monitor system. Didn't need a monitor system because it was a small venue.
Yeah.
Didn't need one.
It was loud anyway.
And it literally, people used to go, oh my God, this is like an absolute great venue for thing. You don't even use the monitor system. But we use monitor systems when if we got somebody else in to do sound, if we had a bigger kind of band in, then, and if they were like, so say they'd send their tech spec over and go, oh yeah, we need this. Right. Need to hand that over to somebody else because our system would not handle that. So it's like, right. So that's when like Carl would kind of come into the situation. He'd like bring like a massive rig and all that kind of stuff with monitors and everything mic'd up. Yeah, it was great. Like I said, like probably the fondest memory of that with Lennox was absolutely They were just absolutely great. Everyone was dancing. People were like kind of even there's like seating areas around the side. We were actually dancing on the seats and everything like that. It was like, okay, this is going to be a good night. But the good thing about that was the manager of the bar turned around and said, "Do you realise how much money's been taken me over this bar tonight?" And I went, "Since when?" He went, "Since 6 o'clock, we have taken over £2,500.
Right, yeah.
He didn't tell me how much. He said over £2,500 in one night.
Well, I hope he shared the wealth.
Well, I'm still waiting for that.
He booked you again.
Yeah. Right, we're going to take a break there, and we'll move into the third part of the episode very shortly. So, cheers. See you in a minute.
Hello there. We're sorry to interrupt your episode.
Very sorry.
So sorry. But we wanted to let you know that we've updated our TikTok and Instagram handle to the One More Songcast. Now, you might be thinking, where the ruddy hell has Tom's Cast 1 gone? Well, don't you worry about that.
That's why we've come here to tell you. So, go and follow us or like us on either one of them. Like all our videos. Give us a lovely comment on them. Then, head over to our YouTube channel, which is also at the One More Songcast. And subscribe to us. Hit the notification bells. Leave us lovely comments. Like all the videos. And then go over to Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts from. Download, rate, and give us a 5-star review on there.
Yeah, it's massive, especially the subscribing on YouTube. It really helps us get the best guests on possible and just improve our podcast overall. So if there's anything that you do today to help support us, then go over and subscribe to us on YouTube and all the aforementioned.
And the best of all, it costs you note.
Costs you nothing, man. Back to the episode.
See you later.
Right, we're into the third and final part. Well, maybe we never know sometimes, do we?
No.
We're back with Gary for part 3. So, Gary, you enjoyed it so far?
Yeah?
Yeah,
Brilliant.
good stuff.
Been a new experience.
Yeah, have you never been on a podcast before?
No.
Or you said
Normally
you've
it's
been
like radio interviews, so normally do it like over the phone kind of thing.
Yeah.
Work with Radio Northwich in Cheshire quite a lot.
yeah.
So they're quite good with me. They've actually been to a few of our gigs as well.
Right,
so
cool.
they've like kind of done so the Friday night, and then the Monday they've gone out live again. And they're like, oh yeah, we were at Blackpool on Friday night seeing this gig. Absolutely, we've had like such good like publicity off them.
Wicked, yeah.
One place you want to get in at Northwich is a Salty Dog.
Yeah, well, JTR's, which is Rob Sutton, is a good thing. He's like a promoter there. JTR Metal Productions, absolutely great guy. So we've got nothing bad to say about Rob at all.
Super stuff.
So we're just talking off camera about, so say like festivals in Chorley, for example. Like they're very tribute, especially the big festival in every year. It's called Chorfest, I think it is. It's all tribute act based. How do you think you break the mould and actually get more original I know there are original festivals, but more frequent. How do you think you break that?
It's very hard. It'd be a very hard thing to do because, like we've said in the previous 2 parts about like original music, people just don't seem to want to venture out anymore and see an original live music. They want to go see a cover band.
Yeah.
I suppose it's that thing of, oh, that's what we've always done.
Yeah.
Have you found that barrier hard to break down, and like where you have managed to, how have you gone about it again?
I try and steer away from the covers side of everything, but sometimes it actually is a good thing to use because it brings a crowd, people know the songs, people start dancing, people buy drinks. Win-win for the venue, really.
Yeah.
I suppose that's what gets you your work, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you had some gigs where I'd say it's predominantly covers, but then they're putting in some of their own as well?
Yeah, I've had a few like that kind of thing. The first gig I ever did in Blackpool for myself, there was a band called Greenwire. They're from like Manchester and Fleetwood, so it's like kind of like they like chucked like a couple of indie covers in, kind of thing. Did more originals, but like a couple of indie covers.
Yeah,
and people were loving it. You know what I mean? And so, and trying to book them to come back is the hardest thing to do because every time I message Simon, he's like, "Oh, I'm not available for that weekend," or "We're not available for that weekend." I'm like, for God's sake, come on, just give me an available weekend. Yeah, because they were just absolutely a great band to work with.
Yeah, definitely. Very
professional and stuff like that. Other than the downing of 3 pints of Guinness live on stage.
We'll take that.
I don't think that's a problem so much in an originals gig because you haven't got the hour and a half set generally that you have in a covers
normally you
one.
have like so normally with a covers band, you have like 2 45s or 3 half an hours and stuff like that. Like with an originals thing, it's like you have like either an half an hour set or a 45-minute set, But normally what I say to bands is, do a 45-minute set and have 3 or 4 songs left in your set. Because if people want to hear more, you've got them 3 or 4 songs literally on the back burner.
Yeah.
It's always the best way. You've always plan an encore, even if you don't think you're going to get one. It's the first time you're playing in an area. Like, I think when we come to Blackpool, it'd be the first time I've ever done an originals gig in Blackpool.
Right.
So trying to get people down there might be a challenge, but obviously you're going to do the promotion. You're going to put the work in to get people down there, and it's a day out for people at the end of the day. And if we're opening up, then you've got 2 hours drinking with your mates or whatever afterwards. So when you've got that and bands are new, do you give them a bit of leeway as well in terms of like how much of a crowd they can bring? Obviously,
I do give them a leeway. Yeah, it's like I have a band on at the end of this month, Casting Tefra, Newcastle metal band, absolutely fantastic band. Played here a year ago, like it'll be like a year near enough to the date the last played here. When the gig came available, Sean from the bass player was like, "We want that gig. It's been a year since we've been here. We've been wanting to get back. We want that gig." So I was like, okay, you give me a fee. I'll tell you if I can pay it or not. Sean gave me a reasonable fee just to pay their diesel. And he was like, yeah, that's fine by me.
Do you find like, obviously like we've just spoken about the splitting money.
Yeah.
Do you find that it's just for most originals bands, it is just, right, pay the petrol, pay the diesel, whatever, and we'll do the gig?
That's what most of it is. Like, I've known bands that have like done it, like going back to Secrium and Nomadis, who had in March. They were on tour, and they did 9 days tour, and hardly made any money out of it. But one's from Ireland, one's from London. So they're out on tour together. Absolutely, both bands. Phenomenal. And I was like, why are you not charging any more than what you got off me? And they went, we just want to pay for diesel. So Nomadis who'd come over from Ireland, that had paid for their diesel while they were going around the UK and their ferry there and back from the tour. And they said they hardly had any money to pay for, well, they had enough money for food and drinks and stuff, but they said that was the way we toured, and we just did it to break even. So I was like, yeah, that's just kind of what we do these days. You know what I mean? We do things to break even. We do what we can to kind of make a living.
Yeah,
but that's
it almost. Yeah.
Yeah, but them 2 bands were just absolutely amazing. I didn't understand why people didn't even come see them. There wasn't that many people in the venue that night for me, but the whole tour was the same. They said that there was like they were getting like maybe 30, 40 people in a venue. But like sometimes the venue were holding like 250, 300 people. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know why people aren't coming out to see live original music, because that is going to be the next thing up.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone for a band to get to the arena support or even like the academy support, if you like.
Been in that situation a few times, like where we supported a band called Humanity Depraved.
Right, okay.
Metal band from Northeast. But we got they were on at the O2, and we just got given the slot. It was like, do you want a slot at the O2?
Yeah.
But we didn't even know who they were at the time. Oh, you're supporting Humanity Depraved? Who? But then it kind of, when it came to it, we got the gig. We were like the opening band, did quite well. And then that was that. But I'm still friends with the 2 members of Humanity Depraved as well. So we're still friends like to this day, really. So it's kind of like a networking thing as well.
Yeah,
I think that is kind of the thing. Like, you've got to take away the fact that, yes, you all want the sales, you want to be bigger than every band, but you've kind of got to take that competition away from it. Because at the end of the day, you're still going places. You might need a support act. So if you're a twat to someone, like, why do they want to support you? Unless the only incentive then would be, well, they've got a big fan base and might as well go. But then if you go on tour with them, you might have to spend a bit more time than you want to with those people. So just be fucking nice. Take the competition away from it.
Doesn't matter who's better than who. You know what I mean? I've probably, like, over the years, I've probably put bands on that were, like, lower the thing, and I've given them a headline slot to the band that's below them. But some of them have gone, oh, doesn't matter, it's a gig. They aren't bothered. As long as they've got a platform to play, they do not care.
Yeah. So how do you? So obviously this isn't your full-time job at the minute, and we were talking off camera about the risks of you getting bigger acts and then having to pay more, and then if that doesn't go well, that falls onto you basically.
Yeah.
So what's the plan going forward, and have you got any strategies to try and make it bigger?
Well, at the moment with the venues that we're taking over, they're going to be kind of paying for our acts and for me pretty much to try and like boost our numbers kind of way. So we're going to try and so the money that we're going to get, we're going to try and spend that on more things like to try and boost our business kind of thing, to get the bigger bands and to get this, that and the other. We were doing doing an all-day festival thing, but we're waiting to hear back from 2 venues at the moment, and we're just trying to do everything we can, just try and build a company.
Yeah, that makes sense. Where do you think the leeway needs to come from? Does it need to come from, like you say, some of these venues have actually covered the band and stuff? Does it come from them? Does it come from... It can't really come from you, is it? Because you're sort of breaking even a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Does it come from the band taking less? Where do you think the leeway has to...
Like with me, I kind of normally agree a fee with the band kind of thing. So normally, sometimes some venues will give you a budget and say, "Oh, right, you've got X amount to spend." So then you try and keep into that budget and go, "Right, well, this band is that much, this band is that much, and this is what's left." So then sometimes you could be walking out with like 30 quid for a night's work, or for the time that you've put in for, like, so say like last 6 months. So there's been one big massive event, and for that 6 months you've been hammering promotions and stuff like that. You get 30 quid, you're going to feel like, well, was it worth it? But then the day, if that gig goes well, then you go, well, no, we do that again.
Yeah.
You learn from the opportunity.
That makes sense.
So what is your average attendance like, would you say, generally, when you've got these bands, and where does it come from? Does it come from like members of the public that have seen the posters, or does it come from mainly the bands, would you say?
A bit of both, really. I've had people that have kind of seen our posts on Facebook and seen the posters out in the public and stuff like that, and they've just like gone, "Oh yeah, how can we find out what's going on?" So what I've started doing now is started using QR codes. So what I've just printed a couple off, laminated them, stick them around the venue. So then as soon as they hit that QR code, it goes straight to our page, so they can find what's happening. And the thing is, we did this years ago with QR codes, but then QR codes started fizzling out, and now they've started to come back in again. So we're going to think, well, you go with the times.
And how many people do you roughly, would you say, is the average you'd tend to fill a gig with?
At the moment, with the venue we're at, I think the most we've ever had was like 50, 60 people in there. But it's like a capacity venue of 200.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is what we were saying. If it was a covers band on and you were charging what we charge, you would have 200 people in that room.
Yeah.
But the fact it's originals, you won't get that many.
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? How would you, to say somebody's listening now and they don't really get out and see original music, what would you say to them to try and encourage them to maybe not go and watch a cover band, but actually come and watch an originals band?
My encouragement would just be, come and see what other things are on the table, really, kind of thing. So you see in a covers band, I get that covers band take a lot of time to learn songs that have just come out, or stuff like that. If they're like a pop covers band kind of thing, take the time to learn the songs, perfect them. But then if you come and see the original side of everything, you see how much time and effort and everything's been put into that song or their set kind of thing.
Yeah.
I feel like the energy as well, when you go and see an originals band as opposed to a covers band, like, particularly in metal and pop punk, you see these guys really throwing themselves around the stage as well. You don't see that in a covers gig. It's
you just see them stood there still.
And a lot of that is to do with space, to be fair.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Like obviously we've got Jack in the band who we've recently had on, and he's got a wireless system, so he'll just wander around the venue and just go and sit amongst a crowd and stuff like that.
Well, I've seen that happen a few times, yeah.
It's good fun watching him do that, because he's just walked around the outside of a venue with his wireless guitar system, but you'd see that generally more happen in an originals venue.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you say the main difference is? Obviously, you're getting original music. You're not just getting your hit songs. What would you say the main difference is in an originals gig compared to the atmosphere of a covers gig.
I think you just need to get that. Like, I think there's more energy out there, kind of thing, for an originals thing, because you think you need to try and sell yourself to the crowd. This is what you're trying to do. So say a band plays, like we're saying about the O2. So say you're the opening act at the O2, right? You have to take that energy. So people will literally look back and go, say in 5 years' time, they'll go, oh, well, we've seen them support so and so at the O2. Now they're playing as a headliner at the O2. Let's go see them. Or they're playing at a big gig somewhere close to where they are. You know what I mean? Go support local bands like that. Or even any bands that are up and coming. If they're trying to get themselves out there, go support them.
It is a weird thing. Like, again, you've got that access to Spotify, but you don't ever listen to, like, say, for example, I don't know if it's just because it's shoved in your face a little bit more, but you don't go and listen to an Ed Sheeran and think, oh, I wouldn't want to go and see him live. So why do you think people do it with a local band?
I don't know. I just think some people just look at it and go, oh, they're a local band, doesn't matter. But then you think if they go play out the area and then another crowd sees them and then the people start following them from there to another town or another city, that kind of builds your reputation up. This is why with bands that I work with sometimes, they're sick of playing the same places all the time and they're like, we need to branch out. So this is why I do what I do and bring them to Blackpool, and then they'll go, oh, we need to get a gig in Manchester. Right, so I'll get contacts from Manchester. Right, have you got any gigs available for this band? They are this style, that style kind of thing. Right, okay, yeah. So then they'll get a gig in Manchester, Liverpool, and stuff like that. It just kind of like a knock-on effect.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Also, what impact, I think, everyone in the Originals game knows what Chris Moyle said the other month. Did you, weirdly, sometimes things like that automatically make people go, well, no, actually, there probably is good unsigned bands out there, and it actually turns their attention to them. Did you notice a shift in anything, or
a little bit? Yeah, a lot of things on social media was actually slagging Moyles off, saying, "Oh yeah, he wouldn't know the original bands if it kicked him in the arse." And I kind of agree with that, because he wouldn't, because he'll get on a weekly basis, he'll get a sheet of paper and go, "You need to play this music this week," and that doesn't matter. So then he'll get that list. But he has to kind of do what he's told by the station.
Yeah.
So say then we said about Radio Northwich, right? They provide the Mighty Rock Show, which is aired on a Monday night. That is to do with all the underground bands near enough. So this is like all the UK, even like European bands are messaging in going, can we have like a track play on the show? And that's what they want. This is what I do. When I get new bands and I listen to them and I'll send them to Nikki or to Nick or to Susie or to Jim Johnson, who they're all presenters on there for the Mighty Rock Show. I send them artists all the time and say, right, give these a listen, see what you think.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have actually had like one track played on there, and then 3 or 4 weeks later they've got an interview on there, just because of like kind of people pushing people together.
Yeah, that makes sense. What did Chris Moyle say, just for context?
He basically said that it's not his job to promote unsigned bands, because he got asked the question, why don't you play unsigned bands on the breakfast show? And then he went on to say a little bit later, I'm not going to explain the full thing, but he went, and another reason we don't play them is because most unsigned bands are crap.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And it kind of caused a very massive upstir in the underground scene. Yeah. Because a lot of people were like put in like hashtags like boycott Radio X, boycott Moyles, and it caused a lot of stir online. But then sometimes do you think that was caused as a way to boost?
Yeah, you don't
Again,
know, do
this
you?
is what I'm saying. It does have an adverse effect in one way, because that can totally change people's view on it and go, whoa, that's harsh, let's go and check out an unsigned band.
You'd think if Moyles did like unsigned music, that he wouldn't want to be the front man to say that. Do you get what I mean? So it's
like a 6 and 2 3s kind of situation.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that thing. I don't know if you listen to Justin Hawkins' podcast, but at one point he had a spat out in the media with Oasis.
Yeah.
They were actually good mates off stage.
Yeah.
But it helped promote them, because it put their name in the press.
Another thing you said there was Coldplay and Bring Me the Horizon years ago. So when Bring Me the Horizon brought out Separaternal, Coldplay brought an album out, and the album cover was slightest bit different, but like all it was the Coldplay one was like multicolored, whereas the other one was like the Bring the Horizon wasn't. It caused a stir in the media, was slagging each other off constantly on Twitter. Then the Brit Awards happened. Bring the Horizon were actually getting an award for Best British Band or something like that, and they decided to jump on Coldplay's table and kick all the drinks off, and the table collapsed and all this kind of stuff. But it caused a thing in the media,
of course,
to kind of think. Then about a year later, they were like, "Oh, why don't we do a collaboration?" So this is they're trying to cause that ripple effect to try and boost people to buy their albums and stuff and T-shirts and stuff like that. And then eventually it's just like, right, okay, we'll go and do it together. Or do a collaboration together.
Yeah. You even see, like, I think it was Daniela Westbrook were talking on the podcast. I know it's not music related, but she was saying how she would just play the tabloids and stuff, because they'd just pay her like $2,000 for her to be seen in a certain place doing a certain thing, and she'd be like, "Oh,
well, she said actually, she was you saying about a podcast there.
Yeah.
They asked her why she did drugs,
right?
And she went, because I enjoyed the enjoyment of it back in the day, but now looking at myself, I've let myself go.
Yeah.
Which she's telling the truth.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Daniela Westbrook 20 years ago, she was a cracking looking woman.
Yeah. Now she just.
And then now she looks like a mess.
Yeah.
But that's me being nice.
Yeah.
Could have said a lot of different things there, but.
So, what's a typical day like for a promoter then? So you wake up in the morning. Do you feel that pressure of you don't know how many people are going to turn up, and ultimately it's not just on you, is it? But there's a lot of pressure that comes with that, I suppose. Do you wake up in the morning as a promoter and dread the day, or is it your buzz? What's the
gig day is like, it starts off a happy day kind of thing. So it's like, oh, it's gig day, come on, like kind of get really enthralled by it. Then you look at the ticket sales if you're doing ticket sales.
Right.
And you're like, right, are we going to have enough people to say we sold 30 tickets, are we going to have enough people coming through the door that are going to pay on the door? And I know our friends say, oh yeah, I'll come and see you, or I'll come and see so-and-so as a band. What happens there? Don't turn up.
Yeah, it doesn't always work that way, does it?
So then you think, if you've got 3 friends saying that's 15, in my eyes, that's 15 quid that we haven't made. But then there could be 3 other people who came, and that £15 is back. But it's £15, you know what I mean? That money pays for the bands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I put a lot of money up front and say, oh yeah, I spent this and I need to make this back to break even, or to even. So it's a hard thing to do, because you don't know on a night, you don't know if you're going to make a profit, a loss, break even. That's kind of like when the gig starts happening, you think, right, okay, we've got 30 people in the venue, right, how many people have came in and paid on the door? Oh, there's only 10. Right. So then you think, well, have I made enough money to pay everything out? But 80% of the time you haven't, and you're putting your hand in your own pocket to subsidise it. And
what's your general mindset then? Are you just very much, we'll see what happens, or are you thinking about that all week?
Yeah, pretty much all the time. I'm normally got it in my mind, because the thing is, you're trying to do things to boost their, kind of get them fans in a way, kind of thing. Yeah, I know some of them are coming out of the areas, and I give them a bit of leeway because they haven't been here before. But then the thing is, you try and promote them as much as you can. So say you go, oh, we've got this band on this week, these are the supports, check them all out, see what you think, come and see them live. This is what we kind of do in our posts. We try and encourage people to come and see live music. This is what we're trying to do.
Yeah. What have you got coming up then, Gary? What's next in the pipeline for you?
Friday. Okay. Got a gig at Dirty Blondes with Portrayal of Ruin, Dystopian Sun, and Divinitas. It's like a metal night kind of thing. Yeah. Free entry. So that's going to be an absolute awesome night for me.
Brilliant.
It's going to be a metal night, so I'm just going to be moshing away now like I normally am.
What do you generally do on a night? Are you getting involved in the crowd? Or?
Sometimes, yeah.
Or just stressing at the back kind of thing.
it's like, if we do like a free entry gig, I'll be around everywhere and making sure everything's running smoothly. if it's a ticketed like event, I'm normally like on the door. Normally we switch, like, so that staff I've got, we switch sometimes, and I'll go help out stage handing, and then I'll go like have a mingle with the bands, stuff like that. Like some bands have said to me that promoters never seem to sit and talk with them. They just kind of come in and go, oh hi, shake the hand, oh where so and so, right, and then promoter just goes and just doesn't come back, and then later on he comes back and pays. With me, I'm there the whole time. I speak to them. If there's any problems, I ask them to come and see me or my staff. If my staff can't like deal with it, then come and see me. You know what I mean? I can give them, like, if they say like we're running a bit late, I've had bands go at me, oh we're running a bit late, and I'm like, yes, but we will make that time up. Doesn't matter if we're running a little bit late. Like if we were half an hour late, then it's a problem. But like sometimes you run 10 minutes late because the bands took a bit longer to get the gear off the stage. This is why I have stage hands to go, right, get their gear off stage as quick as you can. And this is why I tell bands as well, like when one band goes on, start kind of getting your gear ready. Because the quicker you change over, the smoother the night runs. And people aren't going to get bored, because if you're waiting half an hour for the next band, people are like, I don't want to buy another drink. Or I don't want to do this. Or I don't want to go outside. You know what I mean? If there's bands there, it just keeps them involved.
I think as a band or an act, sometimes you're worried that the person before you isn't getting off quick enough. But when you've had your gig, you're like relieved, aren't you? And you're chilled, and you're like, you know, it's you're not bothered then about the next person sometimes as much, you know. So
I think if you're stressed about a gig because there's a big crowd there and you really want to impress them, you do sometimes get like that. But then I'm kind of like the opposite, so I might apologise and serve every 2 or 3 seconds, going, sorry, I'll be out of your way in a second.
I was like that, but like normally what I would do is when I was in bands years ago, I would unplug my guitar, get my front of my pedal board, put the thing over the top, clip it in, and then start trying to wheel my amp off, just to try and get everything out of the way. And everyone's like, why do you do it? And I'm like, because it's just the right thing to do. And the thing is, I understand that people have a tight schedule and stuff like that, but the thing is, we try and keep to that schedule. Like I've done a festival before, like years ago, and we started a bit late because one of the members of one of the bands was late, so I had to knock it back 20 minutes. And I was like, oh, it's going to be a knock-on effect all day. Everyone's going to be 20 minutes late. But then it kind of made it better because they were 20 minutes late. It got a couple more people in the room because people were waiting, and then it was like during the day we kind of made like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 5 minutes there. So that 20-minute slot that had kind of came back again. And I was on the door that day with the festival, but I could see everything that was happening like from the door. But the guy that was in charge in the venue, he was making sure that my day was running smoothly. He worked for me, but he was just making sure that everything was running smoothly. And I was like, cheers, Chris. You know what I mean? I was like, it's nice to know that someone can actually do that job. So it means I can actually take a bit of a step away sometimes. You know what I mean? So say if I'm like, put it this way, if I'm at work and I get put in for a shift and I've got an event, I've got somebody there that can run my event. So like now I've got, like years ago I had Chris, now with this company I have Charlie. Charlie's a very good friend of mine. We've been friends for quite a while, and he ran one of my nights in in July. So I went away for the weekend, and Charlie ran the company.
So that's how you want a business running it, where it can run itself, because you've got the right people in there working for you.
We had, like, during Rebellion Festival, right, so there was only 3 of us working Rebellion festivals. There was me, Jay and Eddie, all working Rebellion. The amount of compliments we had off bands and people who'd actually come to the gigs, how well we put everything together, was actually quite really nice to hear people say, oh yeah, that was great how you did that, and you've got such lovely staff and you're so helpful and all that kind of stuff. And it just kind of makes you feel a lot better at that point.
That was going to be my next question. The people that work, only quick because we've already got a minute or two before we have to break off, but the bands that you've worked with, What do you think they would say about you and your promotional company?
I'd love to know. I would love to know because I'd love to know what they think of.
Well, if anybody's worked with Gary, then pop a comment down below. Hopefully, it's positive.
What would you want them to say?
Just how I wouldn't say how good we are, just how well we do our jobs, kind of thing. I'd just like to know like how people feel about like my company as a whole. Really, we try and do everything we can to help bands, and I'd like to know what they think of us. Really.
I think if it was me or you working with a promoter, you'd like that personal touch, I think, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Not just like you're a number or you're an inconvenience or whatever, you know.
Well, half the chats me and Gary have had leading up to today, well, it weren't even about music. It was about like you. I think you had a bit of a stressful time at work, and it was just mainly like, it was just like having a conversation. It was so smooth. There was none of this, right? I was like, right, I understand you've got stuff to get organised. You're busy at the moment. He's like, yeah, it doesn't help that this is at work. And all of a sudden, you've got that connection.
Yeah.
I've never had that. I think I've had that with one other promoter in the past. Yeah. That's it.
The thing is, like people say to me, like, how do you like treat promotions? And I'm like, I'm a person. That is it. I'm no better than you, and you're no better than me. It's just, we're just all people at the end of the day.
Right, I feel like a radio presenter. I'm going to have to break off for an advert or a song or something. So we'll see you shortly. We'll do a few quick fires with Gary to finish off. So we'll see you in a minute. Cheers.
Hello there. Sorry to interrupt your episode. Just going to take a moment out to advertise me and my massive ego. No, I'd like you to go and check me out as a performer. It's Luke B Sings on Facebook and Instagram. I don't do all the TikTok and all that business, so it's just those two social medias. You can have a little look at my upcoming gig dates. You can have a look at a few cover videos and stuff like that. And yeah, just generally see what I'm up to as a solo performer and as a member of the One More Song trio and Age Gap duo as well. So yeah, go and check me out. Give me a like and a follow. And for all inquiries and whatever else, just drop me a message on one of those pages. Back to the episode.
Right, we're into our third and final part. Gary, we're going to have a bit of a quick fire for you.
Okay.
So we'll go best and worst. Well, we've sort of heard one of your best gig experiences, I believe, from the first part. What's your worst gig experience, a nightmare situation? It could be from when you were performing or even when you were a promoter.
So performing side of it, I would say the gig in Leeds with what I was saying about earlier with Johnny, it was just really bad. When he nutted that guy. Even though the positive of that gig was the guy in question was actually done it with a lot of other bands.
What, get in the face?
Get in the face.
Right,
So I think he kind of wanted a reaction. So the guy that was the venue owner, we got called into his office and he was like, there you go, guys, just give us this money. And he went, and there's another envelope. And we're like, what? It's like, oh, that's for nutting that guy. And we're like, oh, okay. So he actually paid us because we'd actually knocked the guy out pretty much. But it was a weird situation because I thought after Johnny had nutted him, I thought we're not getting paid. So we're going to be literally out of pocket. But he actually paid us and he paid us extra.
Nice.
Hitman money. That's brilliant.
I was gonna say,
as a promoter,
prize fighter,
I would say the worst thing that ever happened was I was doing a gig back in Teesside years ago, and someone's amp caught on fire.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So we had to try and get the amp out of... Well, it didn't actually burst into flames. You could just smell the burning.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, shit. So got the amp head out of the venue to try and keep it from exploding. And we had 10 minutes to kind of change the guys over. Wow. So we actually had to get another head and stuff like that. It was quite stressful, but it happened.
Hang on a second.
Right, stop it there.
Hello there. Apologies for taking the time out of your episode, but I really needed to promote something. It's flash floods at the old Leyland Gates, in Leyland, funnily enough, where my 5-piece indie rock band will be performing a New Year's Eve party for you all to enjoy. If you're in Leyland or the local surrounding area and you want an indie party with a few curveballs chucked in here and there, then come and see us. Details can be found on Facebook, just search the old Leyland Gates or Flash Floods Indie Band. Thanks very much And back to your episode.
Right, sorry about that interruption. We're back. So we were talking about your worst story as a promoter.
Yeah, so it was like the amp catching on fire.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was a hectic bloody thing. It was like, oh, crap. So I think, like, because it was an open, like, dance floor kind of place, you were going to try to battle through the crowd to try and get this amp, to try and get it out. It's like, shit.
Did that just ruin the night from that point then?
No, it just kind of got better from there.
Oh, that's all right then.
So it was just like, everyone was like, oh, is everything all right? Like, yeah, everything's fine, but we just need to kind of keep this gig going. It's like, you can't stop now.
Yeah. So I suppose it's like that. People are oblivious to what's going on as well. So you're going, excuse me,
Yeah.
get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah, I think that's kind of how I was. Remembering it, I think there's been a few drinks involved before that as well.
Jesus.
So like, I kind of got a bit more louder than I'd normally do.
The filter's gone, basically.
Yeah.
Not in my anger, kind of just like goes from here to here in like seconds when I've had not when I've had a drink, but when I've like, if I get angry, then I get angry.
There's no middle ground.
What would you change about... We could go broad or we could go a little bit... What would you change about the general music scene in this country, or, well, we'll say in the Northwest? What would you change about the music scene in general? Doesn't even have to be original.
I would probably do more open place festivals, like for more local and upcoming bands. So if it was more local, it would feel more at home. And the thing is, that means you're supporting that band in your area.
Yeah.
So that's what I would probably do.
And who do you think's primarily responsible to be able to make that happen? If that makes sense. Government. Right,
Yeah.
okay.
I just don't think the government support the music industry as much as it should be.
Yeah.
Because it's a performing art. So you see, like, especially with like performing arts side of everything. So like theatres during COVID needed money to stay open, like to revitalise their thing. Theatres and venues have probably been hit the hardest.
Yeah, I agree.
During all this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think as well. Yeah, there was a couple of well-established venues in Liverpool, Manchester, and like the Night and Day situation where they built high-rise flats near Night and Day, and they're just like not helped them at all, and they've ended up getting a curfew on when they can have live music on. Well, that's like they've been there for God knows how many years. And now because they've put new neighbours in an area where there's already music, and they're complaining.
Yeah.
What did they expect?
Yeah, it's one of them things, isn't it? You think if it's been sat there for years, you need to kind of respect that. You know what I mean? It's a place that's trying to make a living for itself. You know what I mean? Them flats people are paying for, yeah. But who pays for them flats?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's people out there that might live in them, but the thing is, the people that own them are like, oh yeah, there needs to be a curfew. It probably won't be the people that are living in them right now. It'll be the owners because they'll probably want them to shut down because then they'll just find somewhere else for, like, well, another venue will probably shut down. They'll turn into flats as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is what the world's coming to. It's like any spare bit of land that this country has actually got now, they're actually building on it. And I was explaining this to a friend of mine about the tectonic plates and everything there in the like underground. So if like tectonic plate things, if they hit, then it causes like an earthquake and all that kind of stuff. But the only way that's actually not done is by not building. It just the structure of the earth is not made for that. And it's like China and all that get massive earthquakes. That is why, because every bit spare land they've got, they build on.
So it is all greed, and they're also taking music out of the curriculum in a lot of schools, which doesn't help. So next question, name one band or one solo artist that you've seen live, you've had on at your gigs, or that you're just listening to now that you'd recommend.
Two bands that right at this moment that I'm listening to quite a lot, which are a thing, is Cyteria, a band from Sheffield, and Pulverize.
Right, and where could like what can you expect from those bands?
Oh, so Cyteria are near of all female except from the drummer.
Right.
So you have the lead guitarist is actually the guitarist in Girls' School as well.
Right, okay.
So they're like a 70s kind of band, like 70s metal band. She's the lead guitarist in them as well as being in Cyteria. And then you've got Julia, who's their vocalist and guitarist, Argentinian, lovely woman. had sort of really good conversation when we did Rebellion with them. But they've got like this really massive energy about them. Like they've only been a 4-piece, and they've got like they're all 4 of them sing, so they've got like a 4-part harmony kind of thing. And it was so good to see a band like that were really enthusiastic, had very good stage presence, even though they played a gig earlier in the day as well, because they played at the Winter Gardens during the Rebellion Festival. I had a pull out, and the bass player Steph is a friend of mine. So eventually I rung Steph and I was like, Steph, any chance you want to do a gig tonight? And she's like, yeah, where? So I told her like all the details, and she was like, yeah, we'll do it. I was like, sweet, that'll do me. But yeah, it was a really well put together thing for what we did. We had a couple of hours to save a gig, and we did it. Yeah. So it was like a number of phone calls, like 30, and messages and stuff like that. So within 40 minutes, I saved the day.
Nice.
So,
promoter or performer?
What from me?
Yeah. What would you prefer? Or what? Yeah. Where'd you?
Probably say promoter.
Promoter. Yeah.
Like to help more than stuff like that.
Actually play.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Yeah. Blackpool or Middlesbrough or Teesside?
Blackpool.
Okay. And what's the reason for that then?
I don't know. It's just I just feel a bit more homely in Blackpool. Okay. I don't know what it is. I just feel probably really. I wouldn't say the happiest I've been in my life, but I feel quite happy here.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. It's been a good time to change my life around from moving from Teesside and stuff like that and stuff like that. So
brilliant.
It's kind of like
good stuff. Any more, Lee? 16-year-old self? Are we asking
yeah.
that?
Shall we go? Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
What would you say to a 16-year-old self just starting out?
What advice would you give him to maybe shape yourself going forward? I know obviously you can't change much, but it's a game.
Just do as much gigging and performing as you can, and get yourself out there.
And did you feel like you did that when in your time?
I think I did. I did a lot of that in my time, kind of thing. But I'd also say what I've always said: try and help everyone you can. You know what I mean? Be as pleasant as you can be. If someone starts being a dick with you, then they don't need to be in your life, really. Yeah. You just kind of like cast them to a side, which I've done for the last 15, 16 years. Anyone starts being a dick, right? It doesn't matter. Not in my life anymore.
Have you got any final messages you want to send us off on?
Just all the bands that have done things with me for the last couple of years. Just thanks for all the support you gave me, and all the bands I'm going to be working with in the future. Just good luck. You know what I mean? Just what I want, and hopefully we all kind of have a good friendship at the end of it.
Brilliant.
One more question before we wrap up. Where is the music industry now, and where do you see it heading?
Music industry at the moment, in my eyes, is tough because I think that it doesn't give the unassigned bands the recognition it deserves, and I'm hoping in the future it gets better.
Do you see that happening?
I see it happening if the right people did the right things and help the local scenes and unassigned bands. It's the only way forward.
And that's a call out to government and maybe venues as well. Yeah. Brilliant. I want to thank you for coming on today, Gary.
No
it's
problem.
been a pleasure. It's nice to meet somebody new that I've never met you before. I don't think you've met, have you, before?
No, this is the first time we've actually met. We've spoken over Facebook Messenger. But what's your promotion company called, and where can we find you?
Macintosh Inc. Promotions, and you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
And how would somebody get in? I know it sounds obvious, but if someone's looking to get on your books and get out there performing, how do they get in touch with you on your pages?
On social media.
Brilliant. We'll pop them details down in our description on our YouTube channel, so you can go and check that out. And big thanks for coming on, Gary. Appreciate it. And we're looking forward to playing this back to you, and hopefully you've had fun. So good stuff.
All right,
see you soon. Cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers.
I don't know where I was going with that then. That's some comment in the way, that one.